Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So by the title, today I am going to discuss postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and perinatal depression. These are some important topics to discuss, and I think not a lot of women talk about it, and I feel like it needs to be touched on. So that's what I'm gonna do in this video. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe if you like my content. Also, make sure you follow me on my social media platforms such as Snapchat and Instagram. So let's go into this video. During my pregnancy, I had perinatal depression. So what that means is I just had depression during my pregnancy instead of after or before. Sorry if I keep looking over. I've got my baby monitor on and my child is taking a nap right now. So I don't have any history of mental health illness. I don't have a family history of mental health illness. Never have I experienced depression either. But during my pregnancy, towards the third trimester, no, actually in my third trimester, I started becoming very sad, isolated, not wanting to talk to anybody, not wanting to interact with anybody. And I worked in the ER as a scribe, guys, for 2 years. So I've seen a little bit of everything. And a lot of the cases we do see mental health patients. So I know what depression looks like. I know what's going on when you're experiencing it. I've seen manic patients. Like I've seen a little bit of everything. So I knew the signs, and I knew when I needed to get help. But it came down to one day I was at work and I just started crying. Didn't have a reason, nothing. I just felt real sad and I started crying. My friend was asking me, "Are you okay?" I didn't want to talk to anybody, so yeah, I'm fine. And I didn't talk to anybody that whole day. I just kept to myself, very isolated. The next day, same thing, but a little bit more severe. And I just started crying, and I was having some troubles with my relationship. Guys, nobody's perfect. Everybody has troubles in their relationship. I have troubles in my relationship. So we were going through some things and we got into an argument, and boom, just had a meltdown at work. I had to go into the bathroom. I started crying uncontrollably. Like I was hyperventilating. Mind you, I am in my third trimester of pregnancy. I think I was like 30 weeks pregnant by this point. And I told my supervisor, I was like, I have to go. Like I can't. So I actually went to my boyfriend's mom's house and talked to her a little bit to kind of help me calm down and get my mind off of things, because what was happening wasn't healthy for me or for my child. And another thing that I had during my pregnancy is I didn't feel connected. Most people are like all rubbing their belly and talking to the baby and doing this and that. I didn't. I had zero connections to my child. I can tell you, like, I loved my baby, but I didn't love my baby. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I didn't feel any connection towards it. I was just like, I just feel like a human incubator. Something is just growing inside me. That was it. I didn't care to have my stomach. I did not like people rubbing my stomach. If you touched me, we were gonna have an issue. I didn't like any of it. And I think that was also a part of my depression. I think I was trying to overcompensate for that too. And I didn't want it to get so bad where I needed to go on medication. So my next OB appointment, I explained to my OB what I was going through. Well, I saw a nurse practitioner. So I explained to her what was going on. She says, "You definitely have some depression going on." And she said, there's one, we can do medication. And she was telling me medication. I didn't really want to do medication because I didn't want that to get to my child. And she said it takes 6 weeks to get in your system. I'm like 30 weeks pregnant. I was gonna have my child soon. I was like, I really don't want this to happen, and I planned on breastfeeding. So I said, well, can we do intervention first? Which means, can I go to therapy and see if it helps out? And she said, most definitely, we'll go to therapy, but if nothing's clearing up basically in 3 to 4 weeks, I need to go on medication, because it does take a while to get in your system and start regulating you out. Sorry. So I went to therapy. I think it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to get in, guys. It takes a while to get into a therapist. And then I didn't want to miss work, so I found one that works late on certain days. And my first session was really good. We talked about a lot of things, made me question a lot that was going on. I think I had a total of five sessions. I stopped going to her 2 weeks before my due date, and I was actually 5 days late. So I was going for her for quite some time. And then my boyfriend actually came to, I think, 2 of my sessions with me, and we kind of did like a little group session with just us two and talking to her. It was very helpful, and I actually stopped going to her, and I did not need to go to her after my pregnancy ended and after I had my child. Because another thing that I was worried about is because I had depression in my pregnancy, I was at a higher risk to develop postpartum depression. And I really didn't want that to happen. So we talked about a lot. We used some techniques and some maneuvers that she taught me so that it can decrease my chances of getting it after I had my baby. And I do not have an issue sharing my story because a lot happened and nobody should have to go through that, especially alone. There's a lot of resources and a lot of people won't admit what they're going through. And I think it's important for us to know the signs and symptoms of what's going on. And don't ever be ashamed to reach out for help. Don't ever be ashamed to admit that you've got something going on, because the longer you delay it, it's going to have a worse effect on yourself, your body, and then also on your child. And you don't want to put yourself through that. Recovery is so much worse if you prolong the inevitable. So reach out for help, most definitely. After I had my son, most people have baby blues. So baby blues is not depression. It can happen up to 6 months after you had the baby, and it can happen for like a couple of days. So it's just like when you just get like an intense sadness and you just burst out crying and sad. It's, I did not have baby blues, which I was very surprised about. And I did not have postpartum depression, which I'm very happy. And I think what helped not have that is because I had so much support. I had my mom, I had my boyfriend, I had his mom, I had my dad. Like, so many people came and reached out for help. And the people who reached out for help knew that I basically had depression in my pregnancy. So it's like, on top of me wanting to prevent postpartum, they also were trying to prevent it too. And I told them about my fears with this. So, funny story, I was recording and my boyfriend's mom actually called me, so it stopped recording. But I left off is I told them my fears so they knew what to expect, and they were trying to help me prevent that from happening. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna adjust this a little bit because I feel like I want y'all to see me a little bit better, not at an angle. Okay. So once again, never be afraid to reach out for help. There's so many people who have postpartum. Don't judge me, but trash TV. Real Housewives of Atlanta, Portia Williams had her baby. Definitely had postpartum depression. Like, just seeing it on TV and watching it captured. Granted, she had stuff going on with her relationship that she was dealing with, but the signs, she didn't want to leave the house. She found herself crying. She just wanted to stay in her room and not do anything. These are major signs of postpartum depression. And just because you have that doesn't mean that you have depression. You've got to think, women, our hormones are all jacked up because of pregnancy. So with our hormones, there's also a chemical imbalance in our brain, which leads to depression. So don't think anything of it. I don't know if she admitted that she had it or if she went through anything for it, but she definitely had it. And if this is just something that you can visually see, even if you don't watch it, if you go back and look at like those clips and what she was talking about, major sign of postpartum. One time in the ER, one lady, I'll tell you about this, had major postpartum depression, major, where she couldn't even take care of herself. Her husband was cooking, cleaning, bathing her. She wasn't interacting with the baby at all. And what's sad is she was in such a depressive state that she needed to go in treatment. Like, she needed to go inpatient for treatment to get her back and regulate herself out. It wasn't just a trip to the ER that can fix it, which is what her husband wanted. So he wanted to take her away. Unfortunately, you know what we had to do? He said he was like power of attorney over her. Unfortunately, guys, whenever you go to the ER and if we feel like it's life-threatening, we can get a warrant to hold you for 72 hours, and you do have to stay in the ER because of the doctor's orders. And no matter what anybody else says, that's just a matter of fact. And that is exactly what happened. We had to have her husband removed from the vicinity, and she had to go inpatient for treatment. And I can't ever fault the husband, because I understand what he's feeling. He doesn't know. He's not educated. And I do agree that my provider should have kind of informed him a little bit more, but he didn't. And that's just because the ER is busy, and there's one doc, and we probably see 30 patients within a 10-hour frame. So it's crazy. But that's the reality. Whenever you don't seek help or you don't know what's going on, it can get to a very bad state. So friends, family, person who's pregnant, if you see this video, I pray that it helps you. I pray that you get the help that you need so you don't ever get that way. And don't ever go into your pregnancy worrying that you're going to get it. It's very normal. It's normal. Don't think anything of it. Don't think you're a terrible mom. Don't think you're a terrible person because this happened to you. It's normal. And if you have it this pregnancy, you may not get it your next pregnancy. I had it this pregnancy, I may not get it my next pregnancy. I think there's steps that we can take to kind of prevent that from happening with us. Fathers, don't just let the mothers do everything. Granted, if they're breastfeeding, yes, the baby's gonna want the mom. But if he wakes up and he feeds, let her feed, take the baby away and do everything else. Like, give moms breaks, because exhaustion follows depression. So it's a whole line of things, and I just hope that this helps you guys. There's also something I want to talk about: postpartum anxiety. It's real, y'all. It's so real. I have postpartum anxiety, and I didn't realize it until we went out of town to my boyfriend's grandmother's funeral. And I knew it because my baby was 3 or 4 months at that time. Can't remember. But I knew people were going to be like, oh, can I hold him? Can I touch him? I have a thing. I don't want people touching my child or holding him, especially if I don't know you. If you're a stranger, I'm sorry, you're not going to hold my child. That's me. I don't like people touching him because they're germy, and these are old school people, so they don't really wash their hands or anything like that. And he sucks on his hands a lot. He doesn't take a pacifier, and he sucks on his hands. So I don't want you touching his hands. Like, I don't want any of that. He can get sick, and we have been so good about not being sick. So I just told people, it's like, yeah, I don't like people touching him, and they got offended, but I don't care, because at the end of the day, who's gonna stay up with him when he's sick? Me. Who's gonna pay the medical bill when he gets sick? Me. So I don't really care what other people have to say, but what bothered me and showed me that I had the anxiety is that people would walk by and start touching him, and I would be like, oh my God, do you people not ever ask permission before you touch someone's child? They don't. I don't know what the issue is. You see a cute baby, you want to go up to them. People, please ask, is it okay if I touch him? You never know what's going on with someone's child. You never know if they have some type of illness or some type of disease. You just don't know. So always ask permission. And they all say, like, oh, it's your first time mother jitters. Yeah, I understand that. But also, I'm a person that works in the medical field, and I see so many different shit every day that I don't want that to happen to my child. Like, I see what happens to these kids all the time. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. No, I don't even want to go through it. So I have a lot of anxiety about other people watching him or touching him. And that's just me. And I'm slowly trying to work on that. And I tell other people, and they're like, yeah, we'll gradually get there, which is what we're working at. But anxiety is real. Like, some moms freak out when they're trying to put their baby to sleep. They'll try to stay up as long to watch their kids sleep to make sure everything's okay. Figure out stuff to kind of help calm you down and help you, just help you relax so you're not worried about your child all the time. Because that stuff isn't healthy for us, and it's not healthy for them either. So I've gotten better at letting people watch him longer and leaving him. We don't do overnight visits. He still wakes up in the middle of the night, wants to just lay on me or to eat, and I do the laying down breastfeeding maneuver. I be tired too. So we don't do overnight visits, but I think the longest I've let someone watch him is like maybe 4 hours. But yeah, so we're working on that. Postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, perinatal depression. all very common, and please don't ever be ashamed if you feel like you have it, and it's okay to talk about it. And if you ever want to talk about it to someone, I know I don't know some of you guys, message me. I have so many great advice on this topic. It's ridiculous. And I am an advocate of therapy. I know especially African American people don't do therapy. Y'all, therapy saved me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say who, sorry. A friend of mine is going through a lot right now, and straight up I said, bro, you need to go to therapy. She goes, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I said, like, let me tell you. I was like, I'm an advocate. There's so many different techniques that they teach you to help you cope with what's going on in your life. I said, go to therapy. Better yet, went therapy, dove into a whole bunch of shit she never agreed or admitted to herself. She's doing better. So that's what I'm just saying. It's a life changer. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this vlog. Guys, if you like my content, please subscribe, follow me on Snapchat and Instagram, and I will see you guys in the next video. See y'all.